Good morning, good day, good whenever you're watching this, which is the cool part about technology and this platform, is that you may not even be watching it right now. You may be watching it later, which is awesome. Um, so, welcome to Korean Natural Farming Office Hours, brought to you by the Pure KNF Foundation for January 7th, 2024. We made it into January. We made it to 2024. Pretty fantastic, if you ask me. And so, yeah, welcome to the office hours. And let's start off 2024, our first gathering here, with a bit of higher wisdom, as always, right? People like consistency. At least I do. Always the same. So today's is P. Hey, good, some good folks here. Which is standstill and or stagnation. In times of stagnation, attend to your attitude. It is an unavoidable fact of life that inferior influences sometimes prevail. Improperly motivated people ascend to power. There is injustice and conflict and poverty. And spiritual life in general descends into darkness and decay. While these times are inevitable, and the arrival of this hexagram indicates that this is such a time, this does not mean we have to stagnate personally as well. By turning inward and realigning ourselves with proper principles, we initiate the return to light, truth, and progress. The image of Pi is of heaven moving away from earth. When this happens, the inferior qualities in ourselves and others come to the surface and seek expression. It is unlikely now you can affect what others do or say, or that your activities will bear much fruit. While it is natural to feel anxious and disappointed about this state of affairs, it is essential to disengage from these inferior emotions now. To indulge them is to abandon your superior self and plunge into a state of disintegration. It is wise now to accept that external progress is unlikely. Turn your attention inward and examine your own thoughts and attitudes for inferior influences and departures from the principles of the sage. By withdrawing into solitude and refining your higher nature, you continue to grow while all else around you stagnates. Sweet. It's a good one to start the year off with. And it's kind of like that. So, welcome. Glad you're here. Hopefully, if you are stagnating as well, that you can find solace in at least that wisdom that perhaps you can turn yourself into a better person while everything else seems to be as it is. And just accept that. So cool. Well, we got some good folks here showing up consistently. It's amazing to see you guys. We got Mark in the house, and he has some questions about some GMOs and things. And then Rainbow Possum Farm, what's up, Washington? Good to see you. Happy 2024 to you too. We got Cheryl in Idaho. That's great. I'm glad. What's up, Cheryl? Glad you're out and about. It must be cold as up there right now. I bet. Idaho. Man, I lived in Montana for a while. I know how cold it gets. Although, yeah, it's January. It's probably the coldest part of the year. I always remember like January 16th, right around then is the most cold part of the year up there. It's where your car won't even start. And we got Eyewitness down in Florida. He ain't cold. I mean, maybe he's chilly, but he ain't cold. And Stone Mason, what's up, Indiana? Yo. Yeah, it's good to see you guys. Snowed a bunch. But yeah. Yeah, it's good to see. Thomas is sweating. It's good to see the community. Good to see, what we got going here. Just snowed here. Yep. Actually, there is snow still here. Hasn't snowed recently, but it snowed, November? December? I don't know. It snowed, maybe it was in December. It snowed here, and there's still snow. It's not right here, but 13 miles that way. 13,000 feet up in the air. Almost 14,000 feet in the air, there is snow. So, even though, here I am in Hawaii, there's snow on the ground real near. 13 miles up the hill. So, yeah, I don't think we're expecting any snow. I hope not, because that means it's going to be more rain. And my class starts next week. Oh my gosh. We got some good folks coming in. Got 2 folks coming from Portland. Got folks coming from Kona. Folks coming from Kau. Folks coming from right across the river. It's going to be a good course coming up. I got to start getting ready for it this week. Get all the preps, get all the things so we can make all the solutions. Do everything from zero to finish. And also do some teacher training and get folks certified so they can be good teachers with good accreditation and good things from the Peer KNF. So looking forward to another batch of good folks coming through. Speaking of that, Thomas, I did not send you the picture yet. Oh, but all those things I always remember. And yeah. And also, big shout out to Heather. I know last week I was like, what? And I kind of stalling the names, but it's good. Oh, and Stone Mason's going to go snowboarding. Awesome. I still have a Burton snowboard in my, I have a house very similar to this house, and it's up there in my attic. There's a Burton snowboard and some Drake bindings. Should probably sell those and or give them away, because I don't think I'm going to go snowboarding again anytime soon, but who knows? Who knows? Hopefully you sharpened your edge so you can carve those sick carves, or maybe it's powder, who knows? Oh, the cold smoke of Bozeman. Oh, I just stagnated and tweaked my neck. I have no idea how that just happened. But wanted to get into it with you guys. Well, we'll start with Mark's question here before we get into what I had. But he's asking, well, first off, he's wishing everyone an epic 24. And I hope so. But he just heard that they're genetically modifying soil microbes. Anybody else catch when does this? Catch wind of this. Anyone else catch wind of this? Well, just so you know, they've been genetically modifying microbes for a long time. Soil microbes, they don't even know what soil microbes are out there. Like, of the amount of microbes there are, they know maybe a small sliver percentage, 1%, 2%. I mean, 2% if we're arrogant, 1% if we're arrogant, probably 0% if, close. It could round down to 0% if we were more humble of how many soil microbes we can identify, family, classify. We don't even know that much about the microbes from, they're polymorphic, meaning they can take many shapes. They can, based on the environment. So you think you're seeing one microbe, but then maybe you're seeing the same one just changed. And the microbial world, because it's so small, it's mysterious. And so first off, let's just start with that as a basis of if they're GMOing these soil microbes, they haven't even identified them to know vast majority of where they are. So they're not, they're not modifying them to any appreciable degree. But however, one of the most genetically modified microbes out there is E. coli. I'm pretty sure I'm correct on that. I don't know. Someone out there could fact check me, but E. coli has been modified since forever. They modify it. They'll often like a lot of the insulin that's produced out there. I think people inject insulin when they got diabetes, and that's produced by E. coli's. And so they GMO the E. coli, they splice this stuff in, and then instead of crapping out whatever it craps out insulin, and then they bottle that up and sell it to folks to inject into them. And they make a bunch of different antibiotics this way. And by GMOing bacterias, mostly E. coli, because E. coli is one of the most well-known, well-studied families of microbes, because it's so easy to culture in anaerobic lab conditions. So that, when you GMO things, it has to grow well in a lab because you have to do these things, you have to see it, and when you're genetically modifying those things. And then that brings me up to the second bit of that, which is, the GMO technology. Like, so just because I GMO one thing and then I put it in nature, it doesn't mean it's going to take over nature. Nature, similar to like when they bioengineered that virus, when was it 2020? They put it out there and they thought it was going to be a worldwide pandemic and people were going to die in the streets. And it turned out to be mostly just existing on the news. I mean, not to say that it wasn't in the world, but it did not turn into like a drop dead pandemic type of thing where tons of people were dying. Some people died, mostly old people, mostly unhealthy people. But they made so they and that was done through GMO into like viruses. So it's not the same as like GMOing a bacteria, but and you can fact check me on that too and say I'm full of shit, but whatever. Doesn't matter. But those things, like when you put it into the real world, it doesn't always perform the way you think it would. And furthermore, bacterias are constantly doing horizontal gene transfer, meaning they're swapping their DNA out and putting it into other organisms, and they're pulling their DNA out of other organisms into them. So technically, they're also kind of GMOing, genetically modifying themselves on a fairly regular basis. And so if I inject certain genes into certain thing, then it may swap or push those things in and out and do those things. And that may, so whether my GMOs are going to stick or not is a different thing, so genetic modification in soil bacteria, I would not be that worried about, because when it gets to the real world, the soil microbiome, if it's not strong, it's gonna have its butt kicked in nature. And the other point I bring up about GMOs is that your DNA is like this complex spiral thing that's spiral within a spiral within a spiral. It's like, a lot of rainbow gathering people sing about this, sacred circle, turn into a spiral, take me home, right? As those things spiral around, they're not actually genetically modifying in a fractal basis. They're like just stripping it out into a line and saying, I'm going to replace this chunk. But there's a bunch of error checking and fractal checking, like harmonics throughout the DNA. And if you modify this part but not the other parts in correct harmonic waves, then your GMO is not going to stick. And it's going to decay, and the natural biome is going to eliminate that air, that that poison, that pollution that you've put into the biome because you didn't put it in a natural manner. So GMOs have multiple problems against them, multiple things going against them. But also on the GMO story, that's one thing that I learned from Elaine Ingham, was that somebody was GMOing some bacteria to digest corn stalks left over, that they could just spray this bacteria and it would dissolve all the residue and turn it into alcohol. And they thought that it would just work on dead things, but she was like, right before the bacteria was about to be, this genetically modified bacteria was about to be released, she was like, hey, this may get nuts and attack plants that are not, what do you call, like living still, and not just the dead ones. And she did a test in her lab, and turns out it did. And she was like, hey, don't do this. And then got famous from that, from, some arrogant scientists thinking that they had this thing and could put it out there. And she was like, that's actually a big problem and may have ruined your entire crop. So then after that, they outlawed GMO experimentation in mainland America and sent it all here to Hawaii. And the Hawaiian Islands are now the GMO experimental test bed of the world, because they figured, if something bad happens, we'll just burn Hawaii and kill everyone. No, I'm not sure that's what they said, but they probably thought that, and that way it wouldn't get out there. So as much as I want to GMO things and pretend like that technology's awesome, there's a lot to be known about it, and I don't think that it's something to be worried about. You're better off, like Thomas said, going with more IMO4 and doing those things. So the horizontal gene transfer is what happens in IMO 3 and 4 pile. Sure. So when you make an IMO 3 and 4 pile, you are doing a bunch of GMOing without maybe knowing it, and natural selection and natural reproduction. And all that stuff's happening, which is why it's such a powerful process and pretty amazing. So we got 2 Brazilians in the house. What's up, So and Pedro? Yo, my dudes. Like, that's what the thing is hip to say, right? Yeah, it's been so long. Good to see you, man. Hopefully your family's doing well. Always think about you. And it's good, man. It's amazing. It's like a whole year since you've been here. A lot has changed, man. So, yeah, so anyway, those GMOs, all those things. And yeah, I don't know if you'd see a bunch of gene transfer in IMO 3 or IMO 4. I imagine the more microbes you get together, the more you feed them, the more they are going to do these things. The other thing we were talking about the other day is the microbes, the endophytes and all those things. I still think that's a great idea. And I think a lot of our GMO technology is obsolete, because it's like, you think you can do it, but it's like saying you're going to write better Shakespeare by just inserting random sentences into it. and you lose a lot of the original bits, and maybe you make it slightly better, but it's definitely different, and it's probably not the same, and you're probably not going to reach the same amount of fame. So anyway, a lot of stuff wrapped up in that. So yeah, that's what makes this tech so powerful, is we are working with the natural biological processes to do these modifications. So I always, my friend Stephen Cornett has a channel called Nature's Always Right, and I'm pretty sure he's onto something. You know, so appreciate that guy. And yeah, good fond memories of the class, man. I'm just about to start my next one. Actually, I moved it back a week. It's starting on the 13th, so 6 days from now, I'll be doing that. And that'll be fun. Get that together. So this year, last year started off and I was doing Master Cho's presentation. That was fun. That took up a bunch of time. It was like cool to go through. Really a great series to go through. I hope more people look back on that. Of course, you can always find the old office hours at knfsupport.com, which, let me just switch this up here. Why is that? Okay, hang on. Let's do that. And why is this? Oh, my screens are messed up. Well, let's bring this one over here. This isn't going to work very well. And let's just do this, and then let's do this, so you can see that. So this is KNF support. You can find this on the internet, and you can find all the old office hours, including that great show presentation, including all. Why can't I make it smaller? Make it smaller. So I can't. Let me just switch this over here so I can see what the heck I'm doing. I don't know why my monitors flipped. I was messing around with it the other day and they flipped on me. But yeah, find all the old office hour episodes here. Office hours, click there, you see them all. Even see this one right now. We can watch our own. And all the old episodes. Majority of the older ones here also have table of contents with them, which is beautiful. So if you're looking for something specific, such, you can go here and search the office hours and search for IMO, JMS, something like that, and search all these. And some of these need table of contents, or the table of contents is not showing because I searched 2 words. Apparently it's still bugged, but you can search JMS. Anyway, you guys know if you're long-term viewers. If you're not, smash the subscribe. I don't know, or just push it gently or whatever. It's supposed to say that, I guess, on YouTube. But you can search all this. So all past episodes there, and really, the good ones, Master Cho's presentations there. Getting into it. So let's see here. I'll do that back. Now I'm gonna have my screen over here to look at it, but let's see. So let's swap this back because I prefer it this way. Hey, thank you, Stone Mason. It's always good. Get some donations, get some super chats dropping. And appreciate that, man. It's always nice. So what I wanted to do this year, reminiscing last year of that. Hey, how's it, Cecily? Good to see ya. Good to. Oh, Cecily called me the other day. Just like I just tell you, here being like my number's out there. You can find it if you look around. And she called me from Australia, and I was just like, whoa. And she wished me a Merry Christmas. And then we ended up chatting, talking story for like 45 minutes, half hours, more than that, like almost an hour. And it was like so nice to talk to you guys, because here I am and I'm doing this. But then, chatting and actually like getting to know you a bit because otherwise it's just one way out, right? I'm doing these things, but I really, the people that show up here to the class, I really enjoy that. And then, when you reach out, send me an email, send me pictures, call me. It's like, wow, it's cool. It's so cool to connect. And that's just building this community. It's been rewarding. That's why I keep showing up. Even though, yeah, the Pure Canine Foundation also appreciates me showing up, which is good because we make this real for everybody. So that's fun. So just to let you know, yeah. So, well, before I get into what I was going to get into, would a couple of drops, Sheet Truck is asking, would a couple drops of LAB directly into the ear be a good treatment for a dog that has an ear infection? Yeah. Yeah, I would think that a few drops into the ear would help with that. I would also use some garlic oil, perhaps a little bit of the OHN. Dilute it a bit. Don't just put that straight in there. It might kind of burn. Dilute it and put it into warm water, like Mark's saying, like 1 to 250, like he's saying. Both those, the OHN because it has the garlic in it, or garlic oil. You can just take heat up a little olive oil and put some crushed garlic into it, and then take that, just warm it up so the oil, the garlic permeates the oil, and then put a few drops of that, plus the LAB to keep it from reinfecting and to get in there to eat out any bad, crap that bacteria made in the dog's ear infection. But those two things, garlic oil or the medicine, the OHN, and the lactobacillus, which are the protectors, are great for ear infections for sure. And in fact, if you look on CANF support, there is ear infection. Let me just type ear though. Oh shoot, let me go to CANF support and type in ear, because that topic was talked about. Dogs seem to get ear infections quite regularly. And let's see if I can find it. Potty, why is it pulling up ears and nose implants? I know you're not looking at what I'm looking at, but that's okay. I wish I could search for 2 words. Oh, here. Yeah, so treat. So, so it was actually on July 23rd, 2023. Let me bring this over here and then hit this like that, and then like that. So here, July 23rd, 2023, this office hour here, we're talking about treat dog's ear infection with LAB or sulfur. I guess I recommended sulfur at that time, but garlic is probably slightly better, but sulfur will definitely get it out. If it's a bad infection, sulfur will definitely deal with it. So, so again, it's worth searching here, July 23rd, 2023. We talked about treating dogs' ear infections at the 21-minute mark. So, yep. So, so another reason to check that out. So what I wanted to get into here this year, something I was teasing about last year, is I wanted to get into what I call disgustingly cheap microbes, or Jadam is another way of talking about it. And let's see here. So in my book, I wish this wasn't doing this where I have to go on this same screen and do this. But here in the book, if you downloaded the book and you're able to see this, which now you're kind of getting like a multi thing right here. It's kind of wild. I wish I had this on the other side, but in the book, in the back, you get into a section where it is 3 core solutions of Yongsang Cho. Or Cho Yongsang is what I call them. Do not taste. These recipes may save the world as they enable anyone to create near immediate soil fertility with almost no cost. Hey, thank you, Bird. Thank you. Appreciate super chats. Thank you. Yes. It is good. It is good. Keeps me functional. But, I talk about disgustingly cheap microbes. These are the way I call it disgustingly cheap because it's disgustingly cheap, meaning that it's so cheap you can't even believe it. It's like disgustingly cheap, right? But it's also disgusting and it's also cheap. So it's like a super wordplay there. But basically, you take water, microbes, food, minerals, put them together in this ratio and put it in a bucket and then let it do its thing. And I think I had some pictures the other week on what it was. And you can get further into this. This is just a one-page recipe. I should have some photos of what it looks like. But it starts off, you put it in and all of a sudden it starts bubbling. It'll peak bubble. And these bubbles are corresponding to this timetable here. Although it's maybe not clear. And then the rings collapse at the end. And it's basically when rings are at the peak is right when your good microbes, we're going to call these the worker microbes. They're at a peak here. And then your fertilizer microbes, which are like the zombie anaerobes are coming back up. So you want to get it when the worker microbes are out to do for soil foundation, building soil, or you can let it go longer and turn it into a fertilizer. The timetable is based on temperature, and that's what you end up with. So this recipe here is in the book, as well as this disgustingly cheap food, which they call liquid fertilizer. And but it's a stinky but extremely affordable way to feed soil and plants. Basic, simple recipe. And then the last one was the soap. And this recipe is really not that great. So anyway, I guess I have more work to do on the book. I always think of that. So why? Would LAB be useful against scabies? Maybe. I would definitely use garlic against scabies and sulfur against scabies for sure. Those things. So in my book, I talk about Young Sung Cho. He lived in this building for about a month while he was here. I've taken over like 14 of his seminars. I've sat through the same seminar for, which is like a 1 or 2 day seminar. Depends on, how long he's there, but sat through it, 14 times, spent time with him fully, I think I grok his system to the max. I may, as an arrogant statement, understand it better than he does, in terms of he's a chemist, not a biologist. I tend to come at it with a biology sense, and I am more open to listening to other people. So when I listen, I hear more things. Some people that think they know what they're talking about shut off their ability to listen and learn. And that's something I always try to keep open, no matter how well I think I know something and how foolish someone else may seem. I am always willing to at least listen, to hear, to understand, especially, one of the first questions is, who do you listen to? And especially, listen to pretty much everyone, but I also, will incorporate what they're saying if I think they have good standing versus, I'm just not going to not listen to people just because I think they're foolish. I'm still going to listen to them, but I may not heed what they're saying. But I was listening. Anyway, long story short is that I want to show you basically the roots of where these recipes came from and not just be on some high horse being like, I know all this stuff, because I really don't. I am a student and I am learning all the time. And that is what makes the best people that are always willing to learn. So in this book, one of the original, this is the OG Master Cho manual. This was published prior to 2008, somewhere 2005 maybe. This book came out. This is like the OG book. The cover, I've had this book so long, the cover is actually in here. It fell off. It is now Here's the cover of the book. It's actually ripped in half. Oh my gosh. But I've had this thing so long that it is busted. But if you look in here and you look in the last bit of this, recipe number 17, which is here, which I probably, why is my monitors messed up? I wish they weren't messed up today, because there's stuff I want to show you. I may be able to quickly change this if you hang with me here, of that I need to is it this one? I don't know if I can change this. Oh, you know what? It's this here, and I don't want to change this live. It's like, oh, it's so hard. All right. Anyway, I would pull up the book here as well. Let's see here. Yeah, here. I'll pull this up here, and then I'll bring it over here. And even though I don't like this, I'm going to go for it anyway. And go for it anyway. There. So there you go. You're looking at the same book I'm looking at, but you're seeing a digital copy of it. There's a cover before it got ripped off, and it was actually intact. But this book's been with me for a long time. So I'm going to go all the way down here to the last recipe, which is not the fermented mix. Oh, I guess fermented mixed compost is the last one. But you can, if you start to look at these last recipes, you see this soap water and hot pepper water. This soap water and hot pepper water are kind of the origins of the Jadam, right? Because he's using soap water, which is soapy water, right? Soap is one of his recipes. He teaches you how to make soap. And then hot pepper water is also the origin of his natural pesticides, right? And which pesticide. I'm not saying pesticide. Just so you know, I'm not violating any FDA rules here. But these are the origins of Jadam here, starting with the soap water and hot pepper water. Those are those two recipes, right? I didn't talk about the herbs. And then the other one here is the origin of Jadam, is this green grass liquid fertilizer. And green grass liquid fertilizer is what became, it's kind of the his liquid fertilizer, which is he calls it JLF, Jadam liquid fertilizer. I call it disgustingly cheap plant food because it's disgusting, it's cheap. But these are the origins of Jadam. They're here in Master Cho's book. And this is when Master Cho and Young Song were working together prior to Young Song having a blowout with his dad some early time prior 2007, 2006 maybe. And they separated, like a great Korean drama. But in Master Cho's literature right here, you can see here are the origins of Jadam. Named differently and intermixed with, IMO4. Let me zoom out a bit so you can see IMO4, Los powder, mineral liquid, seawater. So all these are Master Cho's recipes, right? Water soluble potassium, water soluble phosphoric acid. These are calphos, food, medicine, cleanser, all those things are in this book, right? So you can see these things are here and they're unified. However, they had a blowout, and I believe the main reason, there's probably multiple reasons why you'd get angry at your dad and basically divorce him. But I believe a lot of that had to do with the daughter. And also, why the heck can I find this? Okay, that's only one page. That's why I thought that was the end of the book. But he also wanted to help people that were ultra cheap. And Ju Young, his daughter, wanted to make a lot of money. So Young Song wanted to help like the poor, help people that can't afford natural farming. And Ju Young wanted to make a lot of money. And so they had a rift and I believe they separated. And, they did separate, right, for years. And it wasn't until a trip in 2016 that we went to Korea with Dr. Park, and we went with Master Cho. We were in a bus, and we went to Daejeon, where Young Song lives, and we brought Master Cho and Young Song together. And Dr. Park's goal was to reunite father and son, because he's a loving Christian, a great person, great man, love Dr. Park. And his goal was to reunite them. And so we did. And then subsequently we brought Young Song to Master Cho and Young Song to Hawaii in 2017 or 2016, later that year in 2016. And then introduced Jadam to the Western world, because largely that stuff, like if you look at Master Cho's next recipe book, it was not these recipes got edited out, right? Because they're too cheap, they're too easy. You don't need fermented mixed compost is still good. That's still Master Cho's recipe, but you don't need consultation to do the disgustingly cheap stuff. So the origins of Jadam are in this book here, which you're looking at right there. But then they had a rift, right? And so they separated for years. And then Young Song kind of went out on his own path, did his own thing, and really established himself. And when we reunited Master Cho and Young Song, Master Cho was just in tears. And I have that video. If you go, you click on my channel and you go check it out, you can actually see. Let me just pull this up. Why here and pull this up? It's really a bummer these things got switched. It's like so hard for me to do this at the same time. So here, in my channel, you can look, and then down here, scrolling down, KNF demo farms here. I reckon maybe it's 2015 that we reunited them. But in this one, in this playlist here, this trip, actually it was this trip. So it was 2015. So sorry, I was a little bit off on that. But this playlist, you click on this here, you come down, and then here, this episode right here, cheap KNF, edible pesticides, ultra low cost. This episode right here is the first time we went to the Jadam headquarters here, and then watched, so this, Master Cho hadn't seen his son for, I don't know, a decade at this point, almost a decade, I think, something like close to that. And then here's Young Song explaining it. Here's Dr. Park translating it. And then, like a good person, I should always watch it 2 times. But here's his solutions, the pesticide, the soap, the herbal solution, all these things. And he was talking about all this. And then, he gave us a full, what is this, 45, 50, an hour lecture that he gave to us. Maybe a little bit longer than that. I'm going to go skip to the end here, because this is the important part that I wanted to share with you, is that right at the end, so he told us this entire system, he explained the whole thing to us, and then I don't know what happened to the camera right there. Dropped it. But then here is Master Cho, and he was in the back of the classroom just sitting there silently. And here he is being reunited with his son. He hadn't seen his son since, 10 years. And this man right here brought them back together. And then here he is for the first time in like 10 years with his son. This is a powerful moment. And that's his grandson, Robbie, there, and reuniting the Cho family. So this was like a powerful, powerful moment, all thanks to Dr. Park, but bringing that back. And if you notice here, you'll see it says ultra low agriculture. It's ULA. That's what Young Song had named his stuff, was ultra low cost agriculture, ULA. I don't think they had fully taken the Jadam name, although did it say Jadam in the very beginning? It might have. They might have been, which means basically it's Korean for hippies, or people that like nature, which is like hippies, right? So this, but here is the reunification of them back together, you know, chayo. Um, and then we went to the chemistry lab, but I want to go back. Did it say Jadam? Oh, it did say Jadam. So they were kind of rebranding to Jadam right then, but largely it's eco-agri, you know, ecological agriculture is his main thing that he's trying to get out there and doing those things. And then at this point in his what he was doing is he had this book here, and this is ULA, Ultra Low Cost Agriculture. And this was his book that I was able to get on that trip. And this book is all in Korean. And also I'm told that this book is not very good. It has a lot of good content, but it's just poorly written and not very well organized. I don't know. I can't read it, but that's what I was told. But this is what he was branding before. And then he went and he started to put out like this pamphlet here, which this one is Jadam. And so starting to see into Jadam, and this was the booklet that he gave us while we were at that presentation to kind of go along with him, was this, which is basically all his slides from that presentation that he gave us. So it's talking about, you know, Jadam oil, the wetting agent, all these things, you know, how to make the fertilizer, how to make all these things. So these are basically his slides that he shared during that presentation. And this book, you know, he even talks about his dad. There's his dad. He mentions him. But he also, then when he talks about his dad, he's like, well, you know, I mean, I'm sure when he was there, he's a bit nicer, but he's usually like, his stuff sucks. You need to just do this. And it's like, well, his stuff's actually really cool. And what you're doing is for a different audience, for a different thing, and probably not food safe. So, you know, there's a lot of merits to the Jadam system and to what's happening, but there's also, you know, learning Master Cho's recipes and understanding Korean natural farming, both of these, and how they both are Korean natural farming. Most people are like, that's Jadam, this is KNF. It's like, no, KNF is a superset that contains all these farmings of Master Cho's methods and Jadam's methods. Jadam's methods are just cheap ways of doing Master Cho's methods because they're accomplishing the same thing. One is just cost you pennies. The other is like, it's the difference between, you know, a Ferrari and a Toyota truck. Sometimes the Toyota truck works. Sometimes the Ferrari is good. It depends on who your audience is, how much money you want to make, who you're selling to, all these things. So which path to travel depends on you and your audience and your situation. But Jadam was developed for extremely impoverished folks, and that's what it is. So from this book, you know, well, basically from this book, the original recipe book, to this book, which was the Ultra Low Cost Agriculture, and many of my certificates that I got from him actually say ULA, or they changed like Ultra Low Agriculture. It's Ultra Low Cost Agriculture. I only have like one or two certificates that say Jadam. They didn't fully finish their brand change. But ULA Korea, right? To this book, which is a presentation of the slides, finally getting to... Oh, gosh. Getting to this book here, which is the Jadam Organic Fertilizer, and this here is the Korean edition. So I figured I would hold up the Korean edition. However, this book is really well written, and you will understand why it is so well written when you understand that Reunification, one of the wizards of the world, translated it and made it really good. So this one, he helped to basically, what do you call it? When you help someone like edit it. He's an editor of this one and helped it to be more clear. But he really shined when he did this one here, which this is the English translation. So, you know, many people have this book. You can actually find it on Jeff Bezos' website, but this is the English edition. So again, talking about, you know, like the soaps, the fertilizers, and the microbes, you know, looking, and then just crop theory, right? Soil management, all these things. And so, but really, you know, here's a book, it's this thick. When you can look at this book, it's this thin, and basically, you know, the origins are in here. And if you look at these books and you look at these recipes, that's really all you need. A bunch of this stuff is just verbose, so you can learn about it, and there's a lot of words in there that may or may not be necessary, but you know, you got to make a thick enough book so people think they're getting value. And there's a lot of stuff in here, but you know, you can really go back to the origins, and it's all contained in here. And you know, and then it went through all these iterations after decades to come and to be you know, applicable. And that's, you know, basically I'm kind of going through, you know, the history. How the heck did this get to us? How do we get this ultra low cost way? Why do I call it disgustingly cheap? Mainly because I was upset at Young Sung Cho, because he can be a fiery guy. He's a dragon. And you know, if you step on a dragon wrong, man. And I also have you know, the Chinese sign of dragon in my deal. So two dragons are either their best friends or their worst enemies, and it's like, and so you know, a lot of times I'm his good friend, sometimes I'm his worst enemy. And lately we're on a good path, good foundation. I love him, his family, and you know, regardless of differences, it's like, I think at this point I'm just, you know, gonna be friendly regardless. I'm still gonna call his stuff disgustingly cheap because it is. Multiple word plays into that of why it works, and really understanding the English mind and putting those things in. And I also call it disgustingly cheap because I'm somewhat trying to discourage people from using it, because I think that learning Master Cho's methods and getting those are like the better, but not everyone can do that. And it depends on your, you know, how much money you have, what resources you have. And he cuts out a lot of the cruff that Master Cho says, you know, like medicine and all. He's like, you don't need that. Fermentation with sugar, you don't need that. Do you need it? Yeah, if you fully, truly understand what's going on, the exudates, the endophytes, the plant secondary metabolites, all these things that putrefaction without using sugar does not contain. So when you truly understand the recipes, sugar makes sense, right? And Master Cho's methods make a lot of sense. They're just not cheap. They're just not, but comparatively to like conventional ag, they're extremely affordable. But it's not as affordable as just water and dirt, right? Water and dirt's like next to free, and that's what you get with Young Song Cho. Here is like essentially, it's like, you know, you're gonna spend your most money on a sprayer. The rest is like buckets and just rotting things, and you're getting the rest just, you know, free. So this essentially is free agriculture, whereas Master Cho is like extremely cheap, extremely effective, and more effective if you can get there. So I always, you know, people ask about this stuff. I get into the Jadam. What is it? You know, what are those things? It can trace its roots all the way back to green grass liquid fertilizer, to hot pepper water, to soapy water. And all of those things are in the original book. But what Jadam has done well is they brought this to the world. Here is even the Japanese edition. So they translated it. I think it is in Spanish. I don't know if it's in Portuguese. But Young Song Cho was like, yeah, I'm going to make some money too. Not by charging people for consultation and for things, but just writing a good book and charging people to buy a good book. And to me, it's a better, higher philosophy than what Ju Young was after, which was just like hamstring the books, make them worse so that people have to call you for consultation, so that and you never fully give them the information, so that they are always having to reach out to you and always having to get stuff from you. And that's the way she tried to monetize it. Like for instance, if you read into some of the information, there's like, you know, the minerals, right? Mineral A, B, C, D. And you can't just make those. They don't just open source the recipe. They actually are like, well, you got to call, you got to buy, you got to consult. You know, only our customers can have this. And I find that way of making business was just Really bad, really, really bad. And that's why, she eventually pieced out, moved to Spain. Haven't heard from her since. That's probably why Master Cho and Young Song are back together. Once Grimmel Wormtongue is gone, then the king returns, and then they actually can advance natural farming. Although I do believe that, there's some suppression of Master Cho, especially in the last few years, especially now, where you can't even get in contact with him, and it's because his family is preventing him. And I do believe a bit of that is in the jealousy of wanting to make like Jadam the new thing to replace the, my dad, Master Cho presented stuff, but we're better. And it's like, bro, just let it go. You guys are back in the same book in the OG thing, like reunify. Understand that his thing has a place and it's a really great place. Your thing has a place and it's a really great place. And together you're going to be even more powerful. But what can I do here in Hawaii besides, and I'm unable to return to Korea at this point. It's like, bro, like I would love to go back there with Dr. Park and sit down with Young Song and Master Cho and be like, look, guys, let's work this out. Let's actually spread natural farming to the world. And so that's what here I'm doing is, since I've had these great teachers, since I've spent so much time with them, I'm trying to just take what I know, put it out there, office hours, bring it to you, build a community, teach teachers, show them all these things. If you tuned into this office hour, you know more about the origins of Jadam than anyone else probably, because I've lived it. I've been there. I was there. I wasn't there when Young Song and Master Cho were together originally, but I met him right after that when he was with Ju Young, when they were doing the thing. I went to their first advanced training in the United States, got teacher certified 2011, been just practicing and doing this, made it my life's mission because I really care about the ocean. And then spent time with Young Song, spent time with Ray, spent time with Sona, Ju Young, Sun Young, Robbie. They're my core homies. Maybe not Ju Young, but these folks. So I just there's a lot of confusion out there. A lot of people probably won't see this, won't tune in. They don't take the time. So, but you can be an emissary that can point them here to say, hey, look, you want the history, go here. And I'm as close to a primary source as you can get. I mean, I'm not obviously them, so I'm not the source, but I guess maybe it's a secondary source. I don't know. But I've been there, I've lived it, I've seen it. I actually probably, I have Young Song's kit, when he brought it here, when we first brought him here in 2017. I did a huge, what do you call, like, propaganda campaign to promote him to get, and I rent, the first time we had Young Song come, I thought he was going to be so popular that I rented the Civic Center in Hilo, and it can seat like 400 people, and about 250 people ended up showing up, and it's like, got him an audience of like 250 people by promoting him and just talking about how he had the cure for fire ants and stuff. And it's like, I mean, I kind of, you got to be a little superfluous when you want people to come out to something. You got to be like, this is the greatest. It'll be something life-changing. And it is, but it's also super simple. And if you look at it, you'll find the origins way back in the day. And, it's all one. It's all Korean natural farming. And the proof that it's all one, when people are like, Jadam's different than KNF, is no, it's not. It's all in this book. This is the oldest book, and this is the most unifying book. And so anyone that's like, it's different, probably doesn't have a copy of this, or doesn't realize the significance of this book, is that's the grand unifying theory. It's all right here. It all has the same roots. It's all KNF, which is a terrible name. We need to rebrand that of the name. But it's here, right? So all the whingers can whinge, cry, whatever. But there it is. That's the truth. That's the, it's the proof. It's right there. Facts don't matter. It's just opinions and beliefs. So I hope my opinion and my belief has become your opinion, your belief. and the mind control is complete. No, whatever. Do what you want. Make your own thoughts up, as long as they're, the ones I've given to you. No. Oh, anyway, so that's what I wanted to get into today. I think maybe as we go on, I can go over the recipes a bit, spend some time doing that. Wanted to give you a foundation of showing who and what and why. And if you look at my book here, I'm gonna pull it up here just quick. The book here, if you look at the book, when I talk about my sources for learning, here's my lineage. I always mention Master Cho, I always mention Dr. Park, Kim, John. These are the cores. But then Young Song Cho, right, and Gil, Gil and Young Song Cho basically came to the same conclusions. He was in the Philippines, he was in Korea, and Ray, and these folks decided the ultimate ultra low agriculture was the way, that real inexpensive stuff. But it's all this is one deal. All these folks are in the same lineage, doing the same thing. And if there's one thing I'm trying to do, it's trying to unify a community, build something great and do things well. So I know there's some questions here and I didn't get to them. I'm over time. I just go through these, I guess, quickly before I'm out here. And by quickly, I usually end up talking a whole bunch because I like to answer thoroughly. So let's just go over these thoroughly. So let's see here. In urban water, how do we mitigate fluoride? I don't know. Don't drink your water. Run it through a carbon filter. I think carbon filters will pull out fluoride. Hopefully. I'm not sure. Someone fact check me on that one. Okay. IMO1 collections are now alerted word fuzz. 83. Very sloppy, equal parts sugar. Your IMO2 should be a slurry once you mix it with sugar. So that's correct. Hit the like button to boost the signal. Yeah, sure. Okay, and she made it with, Cecily had to moisten her IMO collection. Cool, that's good. And the stinky stuff, yeah, the barrels everywhere. If you're gonna start somewhere, I recommend you start with Young Song's ultra cheap, green grass liquid fertilizer, those things, before trying to go into IMO4. Anyway, and Thomas is saying he wishes he could go to Korea to meet them. What an opportunity I had. Yes, right time, right place, right amount, right things. God bless. I don't know how I was able to do it, but I video recorded it. So if you want to go on the same trip I went on, just watch those videos. I basically just ran it and didn't edit it and just kept those things going. So if you want to go to Korea, check out my YouTube channel and just explore those trips, because I've been there and I share it and it's there, right? So hit it. And you can always super thanks those things. You can say thanks and put money on those things, and I get it. I appreciate that, because if you went there, it's a lot cheaper than going there is just watching the videos. Anyway, don't want to bitch too much about money, but I have new kind of converts just learning the entire system. Love it. The Jadam book, yeah, start there. And the OHN for personal care, absolutely great idea. Great way to start, Cecily. Highly recommend that. And talking about the simplicity, what about the Hawaiian OHN you made with just garlic, turmeric, ginger? It's actually from Gil. Karangdang is the garlic and ginger. The turmeric adding, that's just something I talked about. There's multiple reasons for using turmeric, but I can get into that later. It's not this, it's more complex. Yep. So if you're poor, use the Jadam methods, the KNF of the Jadam lineage. And how long will a nutrient mix and LAB with water and stay good after mixing? If I kept it in the fridge, probably a long time. You keep it in the fridge, I would imagine it'd last a week, perhaps a month. I don't know. Your nose knows. Smell it. If it smells good, go for it. If it smells like it's putrefying, it's putrefied. then you got to understand the difference between aerobic and putrefaction, or fermentation, putrefaction, what's happening in there. Putrefaction isn't always the best, so toss it. You must have a large fridge. My fridge very small. Yep, and I know the turmeric, ginger, garlic are 40 kilos each in Western Australia. It's lucky you only need 1 kilo, and once you make it, you're going to get 5 gallons of stuff, so it may be worth the cost. And have a great time teaching the course. George, man, I wish you were here. I wish you would have asked for the money you needed, because we might have been able to help you, but and I haven't replied back to your email, but it's okay. Next time, I think maybe we'll set up some crowdfunding for you. Make sure you get here for the next class. My wife and I were talking about it, and it's like, man, if he can make it out anytime this year, we'll just teach you a class whenever you can get here. So think about it. Do it. Get out here. Love to get you out here, because then you could be in Latvia and helping all those folks even better. I know you're already doing it, helping folks, but even better. So, and then turmeric, ginger. Yep. Yep. Lucky to be in the tropics. So for sure. More finally. Okay, you know the point before the clay soils. I'm pointing out to the clay soils. Go to knfsupport.com and search for clay in the office hours. I've probably talked about clay a whole bunch. So just search clay on KNF support in where it says search the office hour videos. Just type clay in there. You'll probably find it. And then I wanted to let you guys know, since you guys took the time to stay this long, you must like KNF. There is something available to you right now that is here. If I go here and go to this at pureknf.com, or excuse me, pureknf.org. I think .com also redirects there. If it doesn't, it should. But you can now go and get a membership. So we now have a possibility for folks to join, to become associate members, which means that you can associate with each other. And that's the whole point, is we are trying to provide, an association for folks that are genuinely interested. And right now, really your main benefit is you get access to these 4 micro documentaries showcasing the wonders of indigenous microbes. There are more member benefits to come. Right now, we suggest that you sign up for $120 a year, because that's $10 a month. That goes to helping us actually develop this out further. Things that are in the pipeline are monthly meeting, membership cards, community forum, maps to help you identify each other, and a page so you can help advertise the things you're doing. Those are all in the pipeline. They're not mentioned here as benefits because I can't put a timeline on them yet, but we're working on this. I've been working on this for over a year with the certification and membership committee through the Pure KNF Foundation, but you can become an associate member. We suggest $120 at a minimum. $60, which is $5 a month, is the minimum cost we can offer this at the current time. But you could also join for $2,000 a month if you are some sort of baller, and that type of money coming in would help us even further to make this thing. We really need to expand and hire another person to help with everything going on. Otherwise, it ends up being into our committees, and we are a very small team working to provide this. But once you start to join and we get associate members and we get some of this flowing, we get the energy going, then more of this can happen. So right now, I believe this all works. If for some reason it doesn't work, email me, drake@pureknf.org. But you can put all this in, you can join, you can become a member. Here's, terms of service, some things that you got to agree to. Basically, it's like, we're not liable. We don't, we want to do these things, provide these services, what you're getting. But this is a way that you can join. Once you are there, let me just quickly go here and do this. I'm going to go here and log in, you can see here's my membership details, all these things. I'm an associate member, but once you are a member, going into the micro documentaries, these are available to you. Here's the 4 micro documentaries that we have. We made these with the foundation in 2020. They're great films. And if you are interested in watching them, like here's Logan's one. I know someone the other day was interested in this.
My overall goal with cannabis at this point, I've been doing it for 20 years. And, right here, the same tent.
Legend Logan talking to us.
Naturally grown products.
Talking about the goods.
As part of the ecosystem.
And bringing all this. So that's what we have right now available is these micro documentaries, these things available for you, and more things to come. But if you're interested, you want to do this, you want to get into it, that's the back end. I don't really want to go to the back end right now. So obviously I get to see a little bit more than everyone else, but here, joining, becoming an associate member, and doing that. So if you made it this far into the office hours, you're probably interested in that. And if hopefully you can afford $60 a year, it's $5 a month. It's there. It's pureknf.org. I'll put it right here, right now. pureknf.org. That's the foundation's website. And hopefully to bring you a whole bunch more, especially if once we get momentum going there. It costs a fair amount to hire the web developer to do this and to get everything together. And once we can get these things up and going, we can then get some operational money coming in. We can make things better. And we've been trying our best. We've been putting out the office hours for over 2 years as a Pure KNF Foundation. Big thanks to them. Big thanks for this overtime here. And at this present moment, you cannot join with a monthly payment. I'm sorry. It's actually written into our bylaws that you need to pay annually and that you need to pay the full dues. So it is a bylaw issue. And then it's also hard to... Anyway, there's multiple issues why you can't pay monthly right now. So if you're thinking about paying monthly, just start putting that $5 a month away, and next year join, or the $10 a month or the $200 a month away. That way, when you join, you can do it. Either that or crowdfund from somebody, or I don't know, $60. I don't know. With inflation and everything, what that's like, 2 things of groceries at the store. I don't know. I'm not saying like forego eating twice, but take PayPal is not accepted at the current moment. It goes through Stripe, is our payment processor, so you do need a credit card to do it. We could maybe, like, anytime more features are asked for, like PayPal, I will note it down, but it takes us a fair amount of time to do this because it's an organization. There's a whole lot of things. There's a whole board. There's a committee. The committee mainly does it, but the board, there's all kinds of things. So especially when it gets to financial, we have to be careful on these things, but we do have a system set up that way. And there's a way through PayPal to actually create a credit card. And then from that credit card, you can sign up through our Stripe. So you can use PayPal to do it. We just don't have PayPal as a payment processor, primarily because also I don't like Peter Thiel and the whole Palantir and all that stuff too, which, when we're thinking of who we're going to work with, who you are and what you're doing is also important to us. And we don't want to work with sketchy folks like Peter Thiel and the whole PayPal team, which are sketchy as all get out. So if you're using PayPal or eBay or the Midyar network, I guess you could say Jeff Bezos is also sketchy and I still work with him, but, integrity is key. So, anyway, 1.5 kilograms of garlic or ginger in Western Australia. Yeah. So grow some garlic or grow some ginger, sell that stuff and make a commitment to joining. And, that's so anyway, if you made it this long, we're 15 minutes over. I got some things I got to do today. I'm sure you do too, but I want to appreciate you for tuning in. Thank you. If you become a member, that's great. We can build this. We can get this momentum. I really appreciate it. And the other thing that I'm thinking of actually for this is that we may be able to have gift certificates, meaning that if you are a baller, shot caller, 20-inch blade on the Impala, then you can maybe buy a gift certificate for someone else to join. So we may have a pool of people that are really, really in need that can't afford $5 a month that can get those things. But really, just go and tell someone, hey, I'm going to help you out, and go over to their house and contract for $60 to spray some microbes, use the Jadam stuff, make it cheap, do it, be an entrepreneur. Don't fall into poverty consciousness that you can't afford things. Go out and make it. You got the tools, you got the things. Or tell someone, I'm going to teach you this stuff for this much money, and be an entrepreneur, make the money, do it. You can do it. We can do it together. Even with stagnation, it feels like maybe the outside world's hard. Make yourself better. Use these skills, earn that money, make that skrill, that cheddar. I think that's what it's called in the modern world. Yeah, cheddar. So anyway, your ginger doesn't grow well, grow it in bags. I'll give you another tip on how to grow ginger really easily. That's what I talked to Steve about while he was here, because he was also complaining about it. But thank you, Pedro. I will send the word on to Suze and all that. Love you guys. Thank you. The world's longest outro. I think I'm always guilty of that. But I'm out. I'm going to switch to this screen right over there and see you later. Thank you. Aloha. We'll go with a slide out of here. Ready? Bye. Love you. Bye.